For that 4C, round 4C assignment. So got long questions in here, but anyhow, question number one, Andrew's investment in TQM, da 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 da. I gave you really all of the stuff here. I said with the overall contribution margin of 41.9% after direct costs, this revenue will add, $9,682,481 to the bottom line. And for simplicity, assume that demand increase and margins are going to remain the same last year's level. How long will it take to achieve payback, right? If again, if we got the same sales and those types of things, okay, and ignore other savings achieved through TQM, tax consequences, benefits, etc. And the answer simply then is taking our $20 million investment and dividing that by our contribution, right, which is 9,682. So I get 2.066 years roughly. Take that times 12 to figure out the months. It ends up just over 2 years, right, or 25 months actually. It's important to note though too that this $20 million investment isn't $20 million, and we've talked about that a little bit. I know I have. Is that you immediately get a 35% write-off, okay, on your taxes for that, and so really a $20 million investment becomes a $13 million investment because of the tax benefit. So the payoff would actually be quite a bit sooner, and that's important to note when we're looking at TQM. Two, in order to sell a product at a profit, it must be priced higher than what the total, etc., etc. Again, it's a long one, so use the Currier's production analysis to find EB's production cost, or its variable cost, labor plus materials. Exclude inventory carrying, which they wouldn't have any because they didn't have any left over, but assume period and other overhead expenses are half of the production cost. I don't know if that's a legitimate amount or that's just a number that we throw out there, but anyhow, our variable costs, if we look at EB, are, let's go take a look at EB. Oh, where'd EB go? Come back here, EB. Oh, that's why I got a problem there. Let's take a look here at EB. Okay, so EB, we come down and it's a 587 plus 792, okay, equals $13.79, or a total production cost or variable cost. Period and overhead then is going to be 50% of that, or half that, right, or $6.90. So the total and our break-even price would have to be $20.69. And what's EB priced at, just out of curiosity? That was priced at $20, right? So even though it's got a 31% contribution margin, if we throw in some of the other costs that might be associated with that, it gets to be kind of break even. And again, I don't know that half is adequate or is actual. It's probably something less than that for the other costs, but nevertheless, it gives you an idea that you gotta try to expand those margins in order to be real profitable. 3, assume Team Digby bought back 50,000 shares of stock last year. Purchase price would have been the market price of stock at the beginning of the year. Had the purchase not affected interest or profit, what would the effect have been on? And I said show the math. So earnings per share, well, our earnings wouldn't have changed, right? Because I said or profits, or net income would stay the same. Okay, but divided by the number of shares outstanding for Team Digby would have gone from 1,913,000. Take 50,000 off of that, and you get 1,863,000, right? 595. So simply divide that, we would have ended up then with $1.06 of earnings per share versus the $1.03 that they did have. ROE, a little more complicated. 50,000 shares times 53.10, which, if we look at that, is the price at the start of the year, right? Ooh, wait, I got to go back and redo that one. I'm sorry, because this was the close at the end of the year. I got to go back to the beginning of the year, so I'm going to pause for a bit. I screwed up. All right, after that reboot, let's go again. So we're looking at that ROE, and we got 50,000 shares times, actually 5310 plus 716. Why did I do a plus? Well, it's because it actually had gone down, right? during this year. And we want to go back to the start of the year because that's what they'd bought their stock back, would have been the price at the start of the year, basically. In real life, it'd be whatever the price was during the course of the year. So we add this back in to get what their price was at the end of last year, basically, or beginning of this year. So a little over $60, $60.26, right? Okay. And so that would equal the total investment buyback of $3 million. Okay. Their equity that they showed was 79 million. Let's go down to equity here, and it's kind of a round number, but 71,599,000. Okay, so we take that and we subtract our investment because that investment would come right out of equity. Okay, when we buy back stock, when we pay a dividend, those are after income and everything, and so they're said to come right out of equity. And if I did my math right, I'd be a little quick on this. Should be 68,586,000 would be the adjusted equity. Okay, and so I take our net income then, which we have from up here, and you could actually take that as a 2. I should have rounded that up. 1,971,000. I wonder how come it didn't round it up on this other one. 1,971,000. But what is it up above? Did I have it right up above? Oh, I got a, look at that. And then 2, this is a 369. So I got to change that one up there a little bit too. Okay. Anyhow, so I should be correct down here then. And it equals a 2.87 ROE versus 2.8 ROE. Doesn't look like a lot, but actually that's fairly substantial. You know, for a relatively small investment for companies this size and whatnot, that's fairly substantial. That's number one. Number two is my guess is that this is probably rounded up. If we went back and did the math on this one, it's probably rounded up. So it's probably closer to a good full 1/10% or better, which is significant. So what do I get up here? Hang on, let me pause for a second too, and I'll recalculate that and see. It's probably not a big difference, but it might be a little different. Yeah, when I do the math, it comes out still rounded to 1.06, so it really didn't change, but I ought to have the right number in there. So I have fixed that. I'll try to save that so I got it accurate. So 4, what will be the total unit demand in the size segment next round? What will be the total production capacity? So the total unit demand for this round for the size, cruise on down, is 3,885,000 units, right? And I got minus, and we're going backwards, right? We're projecting a decrease for next round, so we got to take off 5.8% times our demand for this round. So it's 3.885 minus, and I'll show you the negative, right? Next year's segment growth rate is minus 5.8%. So that's going to be minus 225 units. So I'm going to end up with a 3,660 unit demand. If I add up my shifts, and hopefully I did this right, you guys can correct me if not, but I had for the various teams, I think Team Andrews had 2 that had a capacity of 800 and 400. And the other teams, there was a couple teams that didn't have a size 1, so we got 600, 450, and 600. Total first shift capacity of 2,850. And I simply take that times 2, and I get 5,000. Hopefully I did my math right there. I think I did that one in my head, 5,300. So there you have your review for round 4C.